Oh, hi folks. Thanks for clicking on my video. This is what, number 16 I think I've made in the past year. My last one didn't work out so well. It's more comedic about the things I did wrong. It taught me a few things about how not to machine plastic, especially brittle plastic. So today I'm going to do one that I have a much better chance of success. And that is to take, I put out these 9 crimpers in one of my videos just asking what they were. They seem to be made for the military or aerospace. But the crimps are somewhat unusual. So what I want to do instead is I have extra jaws that go to a different tool, lighter duty tool, but you can unscrew them. And frankly, I'm getting tired of always having the wrong die set or jaws, whatever, in the tool. So I am going to take and modify this to fit those jaws. That is a challenge. At first I wasn't sure I was going to do it. I went looking for extra crimp handles for them and had no luck. I actually thought I bought a pair, and it turns out they were a smaller width, so these wouldn't fit. Now the reason I think I can make this work is because I've done 2 already. I've taken both these guys and the anvil. I might as well start. This top jaw is put in with a couple of roll pins. That's easy. The bottom is part of the actual stem inside. So I have to machine this top off and then cut a slot in it that mates up with this slot. And you notice it's a lot wider here. And this one is the same way. So I have some machining to do. But I've done it successfully. And in fact, this is the first set where I've pushed out the roll pins. I replaced this. Had to make a new pin to hold this in. It's no longer one that you can replace and swap in and out. And I also, in here, there's a roll pin in there from the slot I made. I don't know how close that's going to get. So that's what we're doing today. This is the 3rd of 3. So I'm very happy with these 2. And now it's on to the 3rd. So the first thing I'm going to do, and it's going to be off camera, it's crazy to spend a lot of time doing it, is number 1, take off this back piece. I don't need this back brace. Excuse me. Drive out these 2 pins. Then drive out the 2 pins down here, which take this little block out, which holds the bottom section in, the bottom anvil. Then there are 2 little rollers that are tucked away inside here. You can't see them until I take this out. And they just pop out and I can get this anvil off. So I will show you when I get to that point, because that's just routine mechanical stuff. I pushed out these 2 up here. Those were roll pins. These were solid pins. Now this bottom half of this crimp fixture came right out. This one, of course, is still attached, as I said. Now I haven't pulled anything apart, so I'm going to show you. If you start pulling it apart, the first thing that comes out is this outside piece. and that keeps this in place and sliding up and down. And the first thing I noticed, maybe a little too late on the first one, is there's actually a little slot here because it has to fit this handle when it's almost all the way open. So there's a little slot there I have to be aware of. I may have to slot the top because of the new jaws. Now, I've got that out. I should be able to just pull that like so. And the one I really need to get to is to take this anvil off. But it's buried in here still. And no matter what I do, I can't get that out. So what I have to do is take the bottom one out. And that comes out pretty easy. It should just push out pretty quick. Famous last words. Okay, so that came out. It's just a little pin. Slides right in, and nothing holds it in other than the fact that it's captive between these two pieces. Now that I've done that, I still can't quite get this all the way out, but I can now do this and have this out in the open. And this is where 3 hands comes in handy. So hang on. Whoop. Well. So just a little bit of wiggling and persuasion, and he came off. So now what I have to do, and I will probably show you a little of it in the Bridgeport, is to take this top off and then slot this center. Now, taking the top off, that's a lot of meat. I'm probably gonna, this time, I'm gonna try to use my cutoff wheel and cut most of it off and then finish it off in the Bridgeport. That didn't go quite as planned. I was hoping to leave a little more meat on both sides, like this lip, so that I could actually put it in the jaws and use that to keep it above the tool. So we'll see. It's funny how the autofocus works on this thing. All right, so we're going to chuck this up now. All right, so I've chucked it in here, and looking right across the top of the jaws, you can see right here is my piece, and I have just enough space underneath here that it's fairly square. So that's what I'm hoping. Now I'm going to clean this surface so that it's flat and get it down to just take the rest of this piece off. Well, let's see how that works. All right. All right, so that is really pretty clean now. You can see that it's flat. There's nothing really hanging over. Now I have to slot it in the middle for 1/4 inch. Just got to change out my bit and go for 1/4. Now what I found on my last ones were that this edge was neither smooth nor perpendicular to my crimp direction, so that these wanted to fit in not quite square. But these look like a better quality, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut a 1/4 inch slot through and see what happens. Right there. That should be really close enough for these jaws. All right, let's see about machining a I'm done, and that's right in the way. I've milled this slot so that it just fits, and I'll show you that. Oops. Okay, so here we are. The bottom is the part that was already there. That's where the hole is. And the top is where I've milled. Now I didn't leave a lot of meat right here, but I'm counting on this resting on the shoulders right under here. So I milled it down so that it sits on the bottom and sits on those shoulders, so it has fairly good contact. Then what I'm going to do is find where the hole should be for that and drill it so that this is a little less than 7/32, a little bigger than 3/16. It's hardened, I can't really drill it easily. So I'm going to find where the 3/16 hole should go up here and clamp it. Now I have to look and see which way I want these jaws to go, forward or backwards. And I think I'm going to try to stick them out forwards a little. This is the forward side, because the most of the pressure will be on this big one, because that's a big crimp. The other side's a little bit of a crimp. It's got a hole through it. So, and that hole is square, so I'm actually thinking the other side is to crimp the center pin. So we'll see. We're going to go back over and see how this all looks sitting at the table. So the question is, where in this jaw do I want these to fit? And if I look at where this will be, that's as far back as it goes. Where's that block that I took out of there? Oh, right here. Duh. Well, let's see. So, oh, I have to come up. So, you didn't. So let's start over. So I have to decide where this jaw is going to fit. How far back? If I can't go much further back than that because I hit a piece there. And it's almost flush with the front. But because this piece sticks in the front, I don't have a lot of support there. But this piece doesn't go all the way back either. So if I do that just to hold it, that's where it's going to come up. What I've done in the past, and it looks like I'm going to do it again, is to take in here with the miller and mill this a little so that the jaw will fit back a little further. And that's not a terribly bad thing to do, again, on the Bridgeport. So I'll be back. We had to do some precision fitting. And it involved machining a few pieces. So of course, see if I can get that piece out again. We already talked about that one. I had to machine in here because the heel here was binding up. And I did the same up here. And then I also, these were rounded in here. So I just took a file and squared them up. Again, for the same reason. So this, and this. That's fine. Then I had to take this guy, who was, I don't know where the other half is. These were rounded on the bottom. These were rounded here, bullnose type thing. I took those back because they were hitting on both sides. And finally I took this one even a little more because this is the outside front one. And that was going to hit this. And even after taking it back quite a bit, I had to grind some off of this. But now all that fits really good. So it's a matter of assembling the bottom half and then mating the top half to it. And the next part in assembling is to figure out where that hole has to go. So this is going in here. This is going in here. I'm going to have to take some burrs off. I can see that. And this is going to go in there. Just like that. And it doesn't quite go down all the way, but it goes down far enough. So now I have to mark that. And drill the hole. Okay, so we figured out where the hole had to be, and I made it back a little because I want, when I press the roll pin in, to really grab this and suck it in. But I may have gone a little too much, so I'm going to probably use up a couple roll pins trying to get this in. So we will see. That's the next step. Okay, well, with a little bit of finagling, you know, hit and miss, try and try again, I was able to actually take this piece and this jaw, put it in the vise in the drill press, drill another hole, it just cleaned up enough so that I could get a roll pin through. And then I put it in the vise and squeezed it together so that it was as tight as I could go, and then drove a pin through. So that's where we are with this. Now it's I think I have to spread. Oh, maybe not. Nope. All right, so I think it's assembly time. I think I'll go get some pliers for that. This should press through pretty easily if I get it in the right spot. Ooh, but it is not. Oop. Huh. Yeah, thank you. Oh sure, now it's too easy. It's going, but it's for some reason it's giving me a little aggravation here. Oh, well, it's giving me a lot of aggravation. Okay, over to the vise. Not quite. Needed just a little more persuasion. And it's not the pin I just put in. It's looks like it's where the roll pin is. But maybe okay, so I squeezed that together just a little. That's not good. It would seem I need to take a little bit off of that. Probably with my grinder. Okay, much better. Okay. It's a pin and it rolls, but it's not a roll pin. Well, at least it went in part way. Didn't have this much trouble with the first two. Last piece on the bottom. This is with the two solid pins. Okay, well, it turns out that I didn't get one of these pins in square. So that screwed things up a little. So I had to back up a little, get things squared away. But that now works fine. Now it's the other half I have to deal with. And it's quite a bit lower. It's quite a bit lower than it needs to be. And I suppose what I should have done is put the top one in first and maybe left part of the platform on the bottom one. But I'm not too worried about it. I'll figure out something. I might actually I can machine a plate. Oh, that would be too big. I will have to do something on the top. These jaws are different than the first two I did, and they were probably made for a different crimper. But I'll get there. That's not an issue at this point. We're in the home stretch. All I have to do is get this jaw mounted in there, of course the other way around. And I have a good idea how I'm going to do that. I'm going to find some, probably aluminum. It's easier to work on, and put an L on each side of this. I need the L on the inside because I got to get the width correct to center this, and then I also need to get on this platform here because this needs to sit down quite a ways. So that's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to machine up what I need for this. Before I go much further, whether or not you've seen any of my other videos, I have to apologize. One of the issues I've always had is relating to other people. I'm an engineer. I get along better with computers and machines than I do humans, which is it's tough at times. It's even tougher when you try to make YouTube videos that are entertaining. I'm not trying to entertain so much as some of the others. I want to show you what real life is in trying to fix things. Not being a real professional, but knowing maybe enough to be dangerous. So I apologize for that. In this one, this is certainly the easiest one that I've been doing. But if you understand, great. So let's get on with this. I'm now going to go look for some material. Well, I found a chunk left over. A lot of people would have thrown this away, and I hoard stuff too much. But if I cut this in half, I can stick that up in there. It'll be tall enough, and I can certainly take and shape this to be an L. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got to take off a lot of material, but well, maybe that's part of the fun, I guess. It's not going to leave a lot. I might look for a piece of steel. That really is not much. Well, I found a piece of steel which I think will do just right. It's certainly thick enough. I have to cut this back a little. So but it is steel, it's not aluminum, so I'm gonna have my work cut out for me. Okay, well that's the gist of it. Is I've cut these two pieces the same length pretty much, and they're going to sit on this shoulder, and I'm going to leave the bottom full width for the height that I need to get this in here, because this is going to sit down a little bit. Let's see if I can hold on to that for a minute. So this is going to sit down like in there, so I have to mill out this on both sides. Okay, we're going to do a little update here. Have to be up here, I guess. So I made these two shims, and unfortunately this one I cut a little too much, so I have to put a piece of tin shim in here, and I'll probably just glue that in. It's not going to go anywhere when I get done. But these are that L shape I talked about. Yeah. So you can see this keeps it from going up too far, and this keep it centered, these two. Not quite centered, but it's pretty damn close. Certainly close enough for crimping. So what all I have to do now is I'll trim this stuff off all the way around. Trim this, trim that, trim this. And then I haven't decided if this upper jaw, I'm actually going to try to find a hole and put it through this L or not, or just put a pin through these. I think I'll leave well enough alone. Just put a pin through these so they can't come out. And I'll just keep the jaws closed. I mean, the few times that I use it, I really don't think that jaw's coming out now. So I'll show you the finished product, I think, when I'm done. I might actually be able to use these. Well, I'll use this hole. The back one, yeah, I might be able to catch both of them. There you have it. How to spend, probably 3 or 4 hours, so you don't have to go buy another $40 pair of crimpers. I do have to say these are a whole lot bulkier than the others. They probably should last a lot longer. I actually put in the middle, I put a piece of aluminum to spread those two really thin pieces of steel to keep them straight. I think that'll help support this edge better. But there it is, and then I put 2 roll pins back in, the 2 originals. It wouldn't fit here because that touches the top. Couldn't put them in there because it touches the top of this hardened steel jaw, and that won't do. So there you are. They're really close. I might have to play a little game with that, I don't know. I can probably actually flex the top jaw slightly to get that over. But all I have to do is I'm going to put a whole bunch of super glue on that to keep this shim in. I have to watch where I am. I have to keep this little shim in, this tin shim. So I'll fill that with super glue. Probably not put any more in. I might put some in there just to fill that edge. But yeah, I tried to drill through here, and it got really hard, and that's because I was hitting this jaw, the very top of the jaw. But there you have it. They're really good. So thanks for watching. I hope you watched to the end. If you have any comments, let me know. A lot of the things that I do are not cost effective. The goal is to start getting rid of stuff in my basement and all my extra tools and things that I no longer use or never did use. So that's the story behind this. Just I had the handles. I thought I'd see if I can do something with it. So there you go. Watch for the next stuff coming up. I don't know what it'll be. I'll probably go back on the elliptical. My nylon rod should be in shortly. And maybe that'll be a success too. All right, thanks for watching. If you like it, say so, subscribe, whatever. Catch you on the next one.